All right, today we're going to start by looking at slope. And we need to know what slope is and how to find it. We know slope is the slant of a line, but generally it's represented by the letter M. And M equals the change in the y values. So, 2. y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. Now you have to be really careful. The thing that people like to do the most is they like to do the x's first, and so they want to put x on top, but x should be on bottom. Now, it doesn't really matter whether you put y2 then y1 or y1 then y2, but the coordinates from the same point have to be above each other, and you want the y on top, and then the other x and y, or y and x in this case. So it doesn't matter whether I call this the first point or the second point. Makes no difference. So I'm just going to say x1, y1, x2, y2, and I'm going to use this. You could have it written y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 if you prefer, especially if that's what you started by seeing that or have been taught that before. So let's look at this one, and we'll do 4 minus negative 7 over 6 minus 8. When I do that, I'm going to just simplify. Remember, double signs plus a positive, that makes 11 over 6 negative 2. Now we know that this is equivalent to negative 11 over 2, which is also equivalent to negative 11 halves. Any one of these three are acceptable. And if I had chosen to do it having this point be point 2 and this point 1, we'd have gotten this version of it. That's the only real difference. So it doesn't matter which way you start. Now I'd like you to try this one on your own and this one on your own, and pause the video while you're doing it. When you're done, you can unpause the video to see me complete them up here at the board. All right, welcome back. We'll find the slope of this one. I'm going to do this one first just to make it different. And I'm going to say negative 5 minus negative 2 over negative 6 minus 9. And then you'll see if you did it this one first, it's the same thing. So plus a positive, that makes that negative 3 on top. And this comes out to negative 15 on bottom. Now I am going to insist, whenever possible, that you reduce fractions that can be reduced. I don't mean make them mixed numbers, I mean reduce them. Like 3 goes into 15 and 3. 3 goes into 3 once, into 15 5 times, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Had you done it the other way around and put the 9 and negative 2 first, you'd have found this came out to 3 over 15, which is 1/5. Same end result. All right, so now I'm going to do this next one. The slope is going to be, let's do negative 1 minus 5 on top, and negative 6 minus negative 6. Well, guess what happens here? This becomes negative 6 on top, but when you combine these, negative 6 plus 6 is 0. This is not your final answer. Anytime you have 0 as the top or bottom of a fraction, you are not done. If it's on the bottom, you're dividing by 0, that can't be done in mathematics, so we have to call it undefined. Or you can represent it with UD for undefined. Undefined, by the way, represents a vertical line. All right, let's look at one last one. Give this one a try. pause the video and I'll be right back with the answer. All right, here is your answer. I've got 2 minus 2 over -1 minus -4. That simplifies to 0 over 3. And again, 0's part of the fraction. We don't stop there. That's going to be equal to, well, 0 divided by anything other than 0 is 0. And of course, we'll learn that is a horizontal line representation. All right, there is slope in a nutshell. Let's take a look at finding slope given 2 points on a graph. If you have a graph and you're trying to find the slope given 2 points or a line, we'll see some of those in a bit, then you're going to count from one to the other. It doesn't matter which one starts it. We could start here and count for here. But whatever you do, you want to count up, down first. In this case, if I started here and I'm trying to get to this one, I have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get to the same level. So that's a +5. If I was going down, if I was moving down here, it'd be a -5. And then we're going to the right to get to this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's the rise over the run. In this case, the slope would be a 5 over 10. And of course, we want to simplify that, and that would simplify to 1/2. Now, in general, if our slope, like in this case, if we drew a line connecting these two, that line would be going uphill from left to right. This is a positive slope. The slope is positive. So when we describe the slant of the line, we don't say positive, we say uphill. Rising is something else people might say. Now, if you were on an MCAS test, you'd say from left to right. Because you have to be specific on an MCAS test. However, in this situation where we are assuming that we're going from left to right, we can just state uphill. Now, if we're going downhill from left to right, that would be a negative slope. So if I had one that went here, and then here, and then here, that would be a downhill, down 1, right 2. That would be a -1/2 slope. Okay? Every time I go down 1, I go to the right 2. That would be a -1/2, and that would be a downhill. Or falling, sometimes is used, and that would describe the slant of a negative slope. The next one that you will see is a slope of 0. When you have 0 for a slope, that is referring to a line that is horizontal. And that's how you describe the slant of a 0 slope line. You just say it's a horizontal line. Finally, if you have undefined slope, that's referring to a vertical line. A vertical line will have undefined slope because the top is the y value, that changes, but the x value doesn't change. So it has 0 for change, so undefined is a vertical line. All right, that's how you're going to describe the slant of the line given the slope, and how you can count out slope on a graph. So again, we're going to be given a graph and we have to find the slope. Now, if we're given a graph like this one, you have to really look careful. Now, I think my line got shifted. Did it? No, it didn't. Okay. At first I thought my line got shifted, but it wasn't. You have to look for a place where it meets at a perfect intersection like here. And in this case, when I look along, this is where it meets it once. And then if I follow it along some more, not there, it's close. Not there, there is where it next meets perfectly. So if you're given a slope, a graph, and you're trying to find slope from it, you have to find two places, where it intersects nicely. Now, if I were to count this, I'm going to count up, 1, 2, 3. So my slope is a positive 3 on top, up, down, and to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there is my slope, 3 over 7. Now I could just as easily have counted that out from this point down 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But when I go down, that is a negative movement. And when I go left, that is also a negative movement. We don't want double signs here. So negative divided by a negative is a positive. And so my slope is still positive 3/7. All right, now that we've done that, let's take a look at finding slope of a vertical or horizontal line. Now I'll use color coordination here, and this horizontal line, how much does it go up or down? None. No movement up, down, and the rise is on top. The run is all kinds of different values, right? So it doesn't matter. It could be here, or it could be here, or the points could be here. So I could put any number that I want there, but in the end, 0 divided by a number is 0, other than 0 itself. All right, so that would be your slope for a horizontal line. For a vertical line, is that red? No, it's not, it's orange. Let's get orange out. For a vertical line, the slope, the y value changes, so let's just call it 4, and the x value doesn't change, so it's undefined. That's how you work with finding slope of vertical or horizontal lines. Next, y equals mx plus b. We call this the slope-intercept or slope-y-intercept form. If you start with the equation in y equals mx plus b form, we can easily see the m, we know is the slope, and it's next to x. If y is by itself and everything else is on the other side, the coefficient of the x term is your slope. The value being added or subtracted from that is going to be your y-intercept, so positive 12 in this case. Now, if we come over here and we are given slope and the y-intercept and we're trying to find the equation, we just have to say y equals blank x plus or minus blank. And we're going to fill in those blanks with the slope and the y-intercept. And now I have my equation of a line when I'm given slope and y-intercept. Or I can pick out the slope and y-intercept given the equation of the line. Let's check this one out. Write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form given a graph. Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to find where this line crosses on the y-axis. Here's my y-axis. Right there is where it crosses. So my b value, in this case, -1, 2, 3. My slope, now the next place that I see that crosses nicely is right here. So if I can count to here, down 1, 2, 3, -3, the up down is first, and then to the right 2, +2. Now I have my slope and my y-intercept. Y equals m, -3/2, x plus -3 or -3. Either one is acceptable. And that's given a graph how you can find the equation of a line. Our next examples, I want you to try on your own to find the equation of a line. You may begin. Now, you may have had some difficulty with the second one, and we'll talk about that one, and it's okay if you had a little trouble. But for now, let's take a look at this first one. We have a nice y-intercept here at +2, so b is 2. And we can see there and there are your two values. So I count up 1, 2, and to the right 3. So my slope is 2/3. So my equation, y equals 2/3 x plus 2. This one, however, is a bit tricky because it doesn't have a y-intercept, never crosses the y-axis. And what kind of line is it? Vertical. We didn't really talk about how to find the equation of a vertical line. Well, in all problems where you have a vertical line and you're asked to find the equation, you're going to start by saying, okay, if it's a vertical line, is it shifting left or right at all? And the answer is no. And x represents the left-right movement. It shifts all kinds of places with y, but it never changes the x value. So therefore, because it doesn't change x at all, then x is going to be the variable